Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be able to talk about the transparency regulation of the European Union risk assessment in the food chain here at the second International Conference on European Communication. How can this transparency regulation contribute to the risk communication of novel food risk analysis? My name is Isis Vale, and although I have a digital communications background, I have been working with food regulatory intelligence for 6 years now. I work specifically with novel food assessments. I am a consultant at Franklin da Costa Attorneys and Consultants law firm in Brazil, and I teach in two food consultancy postgraduate programs. I made my communications studies in Brazil and in France, where I obtained a master's degree in creative industries. After this, I also studied nutrition. I've put this work together with my intern, Natalia Alcantara. Natalia is a student of biological sciences, but has also led the marketing department in a junior enterprise. This presentation is structured just as our paper is. We will show you the steps we followed on building our introduction to explain our objectives, discuss them in the context of fundamental rights to adequate food, and to show you the results and present our conclusions. Let's start with the fact that novel food risk analysis, especially risk communications, is not perceived as fully transparent. Novel foods are subjected to a regulatory authorization before entering the European market. The novel food regulations establish that novel food should not be placed on the market or used in food for human consumption unless they are included in a union list of novel foods authorized to be placed on the market within the union. This is the union list, which is established in another regulation. The European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, is tasked to perform a comprehensive and science-based risk assessment of the novel food. Some of the new food sources and production systems that lead to novel foods are, for example, plant-derived proteins like tofu and tempeh made from soybeans, as well as soy drinks, popularly known as soy milks, textured vegetables and proteins, and other vegetable drinks or milks for replacing milk, and protein, either isolated or concentrated for replacement of whey protein, and several types of seaweeds, jellyfishes, insects. And I have to say that I just tried a tenebro, which is an insect, a tenebro protein bar at Cial Paris, the world's largest food innovation exhibition now in October. We are also talking about other alternative protein sources, such as those obtained from bacteria, fungi, and microalgae, and food obtained by precision fermentation, vertical farming, 3D food printing, and even cell-based or cultured meat. There are hundreds of companies from startups to multinational corporations and even universities around the world developing these kinds of technologies and products. Europe defines novel food as those not consumed by its population before 2007. This definition also applies to novel ingredients. Novel food regulation brings additional criteria to help the identification of these foods and ingredients. Remember the example we just gave? We have microorganisms, fungi, algae, plants, cell culture, or tissues. And it also includes engineered nanomaterials, vitamins, minerals, and food used exclusively in food supplements. The General Food Law Regulation from 2002 provides that food law be grounded in risk analysis, and risk analysis comprises three interconnected components: risk assessment, risk management, and risk communication. In 2018, the Regulatory Fitness and Performance Program identified that risk communication within the framework of the General Food Law was overall insufficiently effective. It was not consistently perceived as fully transparent, which negatively impacts consumer confidence and the acceptability of risk management decisions. So, our work aims to present the transparency regulation and to evaluate its impact on novel food risk communication based on the 2021 and the 2024 administrative guidances for the preparation of novel food applications. The administrative and scientific requirements for novel food applications were laid down in 2017. In 2019, the European Parliament and the Council enacted a regulation on the transparency and sustainability of European Union risk assessment in the food chain. This transparency regulation amends the General Food Law from 2002 and 9 other legislative acts governing specific sectors, including novel foods. The European Food Safety Authority was then asked to update its guidance documents. So, in 2021, EFSA revised its administrative guidance for preparing novel food applications, and the new version of this guidance was just released now in October 2024. Well, for this theoretical reflection work, we used 4 documents from the World Health Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. We will explore key points of each one of these documents in our discussion. These 4 documents discuss, among others, the fundamental right to adequate food, including safe food. The right to adequate food is recognized in the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It is also part of the 1966 International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. This is part of the International Bill of Human Rights. It provides entitlement to individuals to access to adequate food. Although the right to adequate food, which is the standard for the food available for the population, it's not a synonym for right to adequate food. In this work, safe food is the aspect of food adequacy that we will be addressing in the context of the European Union. What you need to know: safe food is free from adverse substances, and they do not present a problem for human health either in the short term or in the long term, considering different generations. The World Health Organization considers that safe food is a primary determinant of human health. Food safety is a public health priority in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. And this agenda calls governments to commit to the best available scientific evidence and advice. WHO acknowledges that unsafe food undermines public confidence in national food safety systems and also in the responsible authorities. And there is growing awareness of the need to gain trust and confidence in the safety of food supply to facilitate global food trade, for example, international food trade. And many national governments have recognized unsafe food as a major social and economic cost. The rise of new technologies and the digital transformation have been identified as a driver for novel food ingredients production and analytic methods. This increases demand for novel food and new technologies risk assessment and requires new solutions for prevention and control of food safety risks. WHO Global Strategy for Food Safety from 2022 to 2030 outlines 5 strategic priorities. One of them is strengthening stakeholder engagement, specifically risk communication. It puts, as I like to say, food safety as a shared responsibility. Regulators define what is acceptable, monitor compliance, and address non-compliance. Regulations protect the public from unsafe and also fraudulent practices. Regular interaction and consultation between regulators and the regulated sector leads to improved acceptance of food standards and compliance. Educated and informed consumers through effective risk communication and education make safer food choices. And all this stimulates industries to meet that demand by producing safer food, more nutritious, and also correctly labeled. Stakeholder engagement increases food safety awareness and knowledge among everyone. It is essential for building trust in regulatory programs. This FAO Foresight report on the future of food safety from 2002 identified that new food sources and food production systems are increasingly being explored. This is driven by growing awareness of population growth, climate change, and the depletion of natural resources. While we do have to acknowledge the benefits that edible insects, plant-based meat, alternatives, and cell-based foods, for example, we also have to determine any potential food safety risks. Technology and innovation are among the four accelerators FAO applies in its strategic framework to support the Sustainable Development Agenda. The other two accelerators are data and complements, and complements include governance, human capital, and institutions. 20 program priorities areas are guiding FAO's work. Under better nutrition priority areas, safe food for everyone, and transparent markets and trade target zero hunger sustainable development goal. And this sustainable development goal is also targeted by biodiversity and ecosystem services for food and agriculture under better environment. Under better nutrition, safe food for everyone also targets good health and well-being. And transparent markets and trade also targets reduced inequalities and partnerships for the goals. And under better environment, biodiversity and ecosystem services for food and agriculture also targets life below water and life on land. The transparency regulation we spoke before significantly impacts novel food risk communications. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development establishes that according to the principle of proactive disclosure or affirmative publication, information must be publicly available prior to public request. This principle ensures that information seekers get immediate access to public information without the need of an official request. For EFSA, this means proactively disseminating information submitted by novel food applicants. This procedure will also reduce the burden of complying with requests related to freedom of information laws, for example. The European Food Safety Authority has been publishing its opinion, either positive or negative, on novel food applications since 2016. But in 2001, following the publication of the second version of the administrative guidance for the preparation of application on novel foods, it launched the Open EFSA portal to host all of information on its scientific assessment work. There, it is possible to follow the life cycle of risk assessment processes, non-confidential information, studies, data submitted by novel food applicants, and the supporting documentations and summary of preliminary advices provided to potential applicants. And the public consultation phase on the information contained in the application has also been introduced to ensure that EFSA can have access to all relevant scientific data and studies available on the novel food. At this phase, a non-confidential version of the application dossier is already made available to stakeholders and the public. Once the risk assessment is finished, EFSA's scientific opinion is published on the EFSA journal. From our professional practice and this theoretical work we just presented, we expect that transparency strengthens citizens' trust in EFSA's legitimacy, specifically to the regulated sector. We believe that open EFSA promotes public understanding of risk analysis and related risk management decisions, contributing to efforts against the spread of misinformation and the sources of this misinformation. It also makes EFSA more accountable, fostering consistency, transparency, and clarity in its recommendations and decisions. And the new administrative guidance for novel food petitions comply with human rights principles such as transparency, participation, and accountability, and foster a food safety culture. Natalia Alcântara and I thank you for your attention, and we remain at your disposal to answer any questions you may have on the subject.